Welcome to the AskARoofer Podcast, where all your roofing questions find their answers. Your hosts, Megan Ellsworth and Lauren White, peel back the layers of the roofing world to reveal the knowledge, tips, and FAQs you've been curious about. From shingles to skylights, metal to asphalt, we're here to demystify the system above your head. So get ready to ask, learn, and explore the fascinating world of roofing, one question at a time, on the AskARoofer Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the AskARoofer Podcast. My name is Lauren White, and we are here today with one of our favorite guests, Kate Smith, works with Da Vinci, with Sensational Color, and we are going to talk about the right roof color, and I'm so excited to learn more. I always learn so much from you, Kate. Let's have you start off with introducing yourself and telling everybody what you do.
Okay, I'm glad to do that. I'm Kate Smith, as Lauren said, and I started a company, Sensational Color. It'll be 25 years in September, almost unbelievable to me. But I've been working with color for many companies. And in the first 5 years of business, I worked with a whole variety, everybody from the NFL to Microsoft to all kinds of companies. But what about 5 years in, people recognized that I had great expertise with home exterior colors, especially. And that became my entire business for about the last 20 years. So I do have a lot of experience, not just with roofing, but paint colors and exterior products. But roofing is one of my favorite things to work with. And I've been working with Da Vinci Roofscapes for 15 years. And I've enjoyed every minute of it because they have great products and they have great customers that I love working with.
That's so great. Well, congratulations. September is just right
Thank
around the
you.
corner. So exciting. Yeah. And so being in roofing, we look at roofs a lot more than probably a lot of other people do.
Sure.
So we notice a lot of colors compared to maybe just the standard, gray, black, what have you. But how colorful can a roof really be?
Well, a roof can get fairly colorful, but I think when we say that, people think we're talking bright red or bright blue or something really out there. I'm not. What I'm talking about is very natural looking roofs. So, yes, gray and black, they've been around forever. They're great roofing, especially if you're not sure what to do. But if you want something to really, a roof that's going to stand out, adding a slightly different color can make all the difference. Roof colors represent in like with what we have with Da Vinci, you mentioned 50 colors, but they're really the evolution of composite roofing from just being functional to being an integral part of the design. And so a roof like Aberdeen, which incorporates multiple colors that are all very close in tone, it almost looks like a solid color from a distance or a mottled color. And as you get a little closer, the beauty of the roof really comes out. It can make all the difference in showing off the architecture or setting it apart from its neighbors, not in an odd way, in a fantastic way, because it stands out while still fitting into the neighborhood.
Yeah, I know. There's some fun colors out there, even just looking at samples at trade shows and stuff, just seeing all the different kind of
Yes.
modeling and
Well, one of the new roofs I'll mention is a roofing called it's one of the slate called Aurora, and it mimics the natural blending of the mottled green and purple, and it is gorgeous. And
yeah.
just worked with a homeowner that's buying it for their home, and I can't wait to see what it's gonna look like because I think it's gonna totally transition the look of their home from being a nice, attractive home into something that's gonna make people take a second look.
Yeah, definitely. Gotta love that curb appeal.
That's what it's all about, right? That's really
Exactly.
is what it really is what it comes down to for most homes. You want somebody to look at your home and go, "Gosh, I wonder who lives there. That's
Yeah.
such a great house. That looks so nice."
So to that point, for all of our homeowners listening, what color advice do you have for them? Kind of starting from the top down.
Well, I always do start from the top down because the roof is the crown of the house. I
Yeah,
know, a little corny, but
I like
choosing
it.
the right roof color, it really can transform the entire appearance of a home. And so when evaluating any home, I start right at the top and work my way down. The roof covers about 30% of the what you see on a home exterior, making it one of the most influential elements in the overall color scheme. And from there, I work down and look at other elements like stone or brick or the siding, other accent colors, focusing on more permanent elements first, because those are the things that have to come together. Paint is a lot more flexible. You have a lot more options. So you want to have your roof and your other fixed elements, the things that aren't going to change, work seamlessly together and be in harmony. Then it opens up really a whole range of colors that you can go with if you want an accent color or paint color. So that's why I start at the top. And when you have great product to work with, or when somebody's putting on a new roof, it makes it really enjoyable to help them transform their home just by adding a different product, maybe a different accent color, something that will totally change the look.
Yeah, definitely. It's amazing what even just a little, like the trim around the windows, how that can affect the whole look of the home, including the roof.
Absolutely, and in fact, I think that and I hope I'm quoting this number correct, but that the having the right color roof has been shown by real estate studies to increase your, home's resale value by, I don't know, something like 7%.
Wow.
So, I'm like, "Wow, who doesn't wanna increase their value?" Plus, it sets
Yeah.
off your architectural the beautiful architectural features that sometimes get lost if the roof isn't quite the right color or the depth of color. So, beautiful roof lines. I know that's probably one of the things you look at.
Yeah.
I look at the roof line all the time, especially if it's interesting. I'm like, "Oh, that's something that really makes your house look gorgeous." We're gonna have to find a roof that's gonna help set that off, as well as the other parts of the architecture, the stone and the bricks and other elements.
Yeah, definitely. For sure. And I know you've written several guides and you always talk about the fresh approach. So can you walk us through what that fresh approach is?
Sure, sure. I'd love to because I use a couple of things and acronyms to help people remember the kinds of things that they want to look at when they're thinking about creating a great exterior. And fresh is one of the first things that I always look at, starting with F, which stands, and I use the letters, fixed features, which are the more permanent elements of a home. And they include everything from the roof, brick, stone, accent roofs, any of the increasingly popular mix of materials. Homes are starting to mix more materials on the exterior. So it becomes increasingly more important that you really take all of those fixed elements into consideration. And of course, brick and stone have been around forever and are extremely popular. Then we talk about R, which is the regional colors, because whether you're looking at permanent elements or even just the paint, certain colors work really well in particular regions. The colors in New England don't necessarily work as well in southern Florida or in Arizona. Portland, there's a certain look to it. And it's all based on the natural materials as well as the lighting. The environment includes just your lot, your landscaping, where your property is, the homes in your neighborhood, the architectural style, anything that's surrounding your home, we take a look at, as well as the style of the house. There's things like traditional style, which has been around forever, ranch style, all those, but now even more kind of what I call new American styles, where there's a mix of styles. They're taking the best elements of different types of homes and putting them into uh, using them in new ways. And then last, the thing that most people, or some people forget about, shouldn't say most, some people forget about, is if you have a homeowners association that you need to work with in order to get approval for your plans, or if there's historic guidelines. So those are the five things that as a starting point, I think you wanna that a homeowner needs to look at, or, anyone working on putting together a beautiful exterior, because they're all important, and each one of those things actually can help point you towards the right scheme for your home.
Wow, so much information. I love it. And it's an easy acronym to remember because you want your house to look fresh and look
Fresh,
good.
yes.
Yeah.
It worked out really well.
Absolutely. So, for our listeners who might have a brick or stone home, how how can you help them understand how to work with those homes when figuring out their roof color?
Oh, I would love to, because a lot of the customers I work with have homes that incorporate are either all brick or stone or incorporated in some way, in a prominent way on the exterior, and some homes have both. And when you own a brick or a stone home, the homeowner possesses something truly special, a home with character, its permanence, natural beauty, and this stands really the test of time. They're some of my favorites to work with. Um, but however, many homeowners don't realize that these stunning elements, these fixed features, present unique color coordination challenges and opportunities that can significantly impact how a home looks or what the curb in the home's curb appeal. So before we dive into specific color combinations that they need to understand is fundamentally that the thing about brick and stone is they're not just one color. So every brick and every stone contains multiple hues and color variations, and that creates what designers call a color cast, the overall temperature and tone that influences every other color decision that you'll make. The same is true for roofing. It's often not a single color like in paint or metal or other elements that might be part of the exterior. And so let me explain color cast by starting with red,
Yeah.
because I think if you ask somebody what their brick was, and red brick homes are beloved in America, and so if you ask them, they often say to me, "Oh, it's red." Okay. Give me a little more detail. What kind of a red is it? Because you have very classic red that has it's pretty much what it is. But that's not always the majority of homes. There's reds that lean more orange, even a little terracotta or rusty. There's cooler reds that go towards burgundy or even a wine color. There's reds that have some variations that are that with some black or accent stones. So you have to take a little deeper look at what exactly makes up the red and not just say red and be done with it, because those elements, that color cast, if it's a muted red and it's kind of got a gray cast to it, that's one of the clues to tell you what's going to work best on the rest of your home. And so even looking at things like the grout color can help you figure out what your color cast is. So starting with that, roofing for brick homes, generally red, warm red, cool red, not a lot of variations, or even Chicago brick with some of the accents, deep to medium, slate black or gray, or blends like of many grays like European or Castle Gray and the Da Vinci line that have rich tonal variations. They are perfect for brick homes. They have the same um, sort of gravitas as brick, so it works on that home. But you can also use shakes in darker tones as well, like black oak or mountain. Any darker shade is excellent choice when working with red. I mean, red bricks or any
Yeah.
bricks for that matter, but red bricks especially. But red is not limited to just red because there's also what I call light red, sometimes even pink or a washed red. So with those lighter tones, you also want to lighten up on the roof so it doesn't overwhelm the body of the home. And so in that case, you might go to something like a slate gray, which is a more medium tone roof, or weathered gray shakes, or something that's a little bit softer. Because red, if you think about the light red, it ranges from pink or very light red to pink or salmon tones, or even a neutral that almost has just a little bit of a rosy glow. All of those colors are going to work well with a roof tone that's a little bit softer than a slate black. Um, Whitewash bricks are also quite popular. So
Yeah.
that's really when they put the mortar slurry over the bricks to soften them and give them a weathered look. That can be a beautiful look with tones like brownstone slate, which is still, you think, kind of a deeper color, but because of the variations between brown and gray brown, it picks up on that whitewashed bricks so beautifully and sets off the look, and also often complements the type of home that would work well with a whitewashed brick. But red is not the only color.
Yeah.
Should I go on, tell you about more?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Um, the other similar to the same idea with the pink and light red brick is white or cream brick. And although not pure white, rarely on homes, or pure cream, these light neutrals, they harmonize with almost every roof color. So you choose that oftentimes based on the style of the home, because if you went with a black or a deep color, a smoky gray roof, it's going to have a more modern look. So if that's the look of the home and the style that fits, that can work. If it's more of a cottage, softer look that you're going after, the Nature Crafted collection works great because it turns it into almost a more cozy, warm feeling. So a weathered gray, mossy cedar, one of my favorites, is the aged cedar with a patina of grayish green, a little bit of green, but sort of a grayish patina on it. Even weathered green, which is a slate that mixes its tones of gold and green, can be beautiful with that. But you're open with a white or cream brick to just about anything your heart desires. It just depends on what the style or sort of what your aesthetic is, what you want your personality to come through in your home. Gray bricks are much the same. So you've got gray that leans very beigey or taupe, all the way to cool gray, which is basically a neutral gray with not a lot of detectable undertones. So again, depending on what your look is, slate black or a single color gives it a more contemporary look, which can be quite nice. For today, a lot of people like that look, but you can also take it down to have a softer, more welcoming look with something like the weathered gray, which is that beautiful silvery gray that can only be captured by exposure to the elements over time. So that look is also very good with a gray brick because it has the same, it gives it more of a monochromatic look. Besides just saying what colors work together, I ask that I get an idea from the homeowner of sort of what they want their home to say about them, because they often do have. Sometimes there's a clear winner to me, like this is going to be great. But
Yeah.
oftentimes, if there's multiple choices that would work well, it comes down to the look that they have in mind for their home. And not everybody envisions the house exactly as I might when I look at it, but they have their own beautiful vision for what it's going to be. And so using the right combination of their brick and the roofing can really just, you can change what could be a very stately home into a more country estate feel or a cute cottage. So there's a lot of ways you can work with combination of colors. And with brick and stone, you have so many options for
Yeah.
turning it into a beautiful, beautiful home. And with a product like Da Vinci, where there's so many naturally beautiful colors, it's almost hard to go wrong. Um, of course, I think there's some that I favor, but really, I've seen people choose things that I go, I probably wouldn't have thought of that, but it looks good. It's
Yeah.
fine. It looks nice. So that's the beauty of working with those materials based in colors from nature, is they really do work with, it's just hard to make a mistake.
Yeah.
And last, there's sometimes dark brick. So dark, again, pure black or brown. These are kind of interesting because they can have tones of red. So somebody says, "Well, isn't that red brick?" And I'm like, "Well, it's actually about half red and half black." So it's a very rich neutral, but I kind of call it black because there's clearly that cast of black that is over all of the brick, maybe a charcoal gray. And so I'll look with roofs with with a color with that cast. So either a black or black oak, rock ridge, that new slate I was mentioning. It's a combination of charcoal gray and black, very mottled and beautiful. And so you look at the not just the underlying color, but the color cast, which is kind of that overlying color that permeates the entire surface. And sometimes the best way to detect what your cast is to look at it against other materials. And you'll pretty quickly know if the roofing you're looking at, oh, is it too bright? Is it too light? Does it really work with this color? Because it just doesn't feel like they harmonize together, that they work well together. So it's not a big mystery. The word
Yeah.
might sound a little like mysterious, but it's almost go with your natural instinct to determine whether the roofing works with your materials. And the best way to do that is to get large designers, contractor samples, look at it, especially in if you can at the angle it's going to be installed or out the edge of
Yeah.
your roof and next to your siding, next to your bricks, and look at it at different times during the day and really see how the change in lighting affects the color and the combination of your colors and materials, and you'll know whether it's right. I I know it's very nerve-wracking for some people to make the final decision, and that's why I really help give them some options, but I always leave it as their choice. And
Yeah.
I guide them through the process by telling them exactly what to look for, giving them my thoughts on what might occur or why I suggest a particular color over another one. And then they have all the information they need to stand at their house and look at it and go, yes, that works. No, it does. You're right. That I liked it, but you're right. This could be, this might be a problem. Yes, I see that.
Yeah.
And so that's really I tell people always trust your instincts. You really do know what's going to look right, but in the end you're going to know based on our conversation, what I've shared with them and the colors that I recommended, why I've recommended them, what to look for. And if they like something different, then I say, great, that's fine. My goal is to help someone be able to determine which roofing color is the best for them and their home.
Yeah.
So the same that we just talked about with brick applies to stone. You mentioned stone, so we could talk
Hmm.
a little bit about that. The colors are a little bit more limited, but they're very similar to brick. Stone always seems to be a popular choice as an accent, and I think that's where we see it more often than on an entire exterior. So one of the more popular is tan and gray are two of the most popular, but tan or a variation of tan, it's the limestone, the sandstone, and other natural stones with any warm hues. They can lean gold or even a little greenish, peach, coral. So overall, they look tan, but they often will have a hint of a particular color shining through. And that is where you can look to pick up a great accent color. So if you're looking for a color for your front door or your shutters or some other part of your home, taking a really close look at your stone and saying, okay, what other colors are in here? Not just the color I first see, but is there a color in here? And then go slightly brighter or lighter or look at a variety of colors that play up something that's coming out of your stone, because although you might not see it immediately from a distance, those little hints will give you clues as to what's gonna look fantastic when you stand back and see your whole home is a single unit. So, with tan stone, of course, almost every shake color works well, whether it's the aged look of the Nature Crafted collection, again, that mossy cedar, but also aged cedar because of its sort of golden tones looks great. Black oak, if you like a darker roof. Um, but even the one thing with tan stone that's fantastic is Aurora, the blend that I mentioned. You might think,
Yeah.
mottled purple and green, how does that work? But when you see the tones against tan, and some stones even have a little bit of purple or green in them, it's kind of amazing how well they work together, and that's the beauty of two natural materials coming together and bringing the best out of both of them. Gray is another great stone color that's very popular, very flexible to work with. So whether it's granite, fieldstone, travertine, any of the stacked types, or even really just about anything that appears gray to you, and I say in a stone
Yeah.
is fantastic because it's generally very flexible. But like tan, it often has may even have a little bit of tan in it, but it often has a bit of color that you can play up on. So even if it's gray stone, some grays have a bit of tan or brown that give them a touch of warmth. Those are the ones that I try to bring that out with, often with a shake, some kind of a brown shake, Tahoe or Mountain or something, to help bring that to life, or going gray to make a more tonal scheme, depending on what the other elements of the home are. So if they have gray, predominantly gray stone, and they're going to paint the home gray, I'd probably go with some variation of a gray roof, unless the style called for something else. But if they have a relatively simple home, then maybe going with a little bit different, pulling out some of that color in the roof is exactly what it needs to make it really a standout exterior. So as you're looking at those things, as I said, you start at the top. What roof are we using? What siding? Or what's the stone? What's the brick? All of it starts to come together, and where people often think, "Well, I have to figure out my paint color." I'm going, "That's the last thing we
Yeah.
figure out. That's the absolute last thing. You got thousands of paint colors to choose from. You
Yeah.
don't have that many options for these other materials, and the first thing we have to focus on is how are we bringing those other elements all into harmony, because then we can find a paint color that works to bridge them all, to bring, to work with all of them really much more easily once we understand those fixed elements and what we're working with and what the colors are. And so for homeowners, one of the tips I give them is to take more time than you think to really look at your fixed elements, the things that aren't going to change on your home, and look at the colors and you can put paint swatches next to them and you'll start to see what colors work and what don't. I always say put your roofing right next to your brick and stone and look at it. It's
Yeah.
not going to be right there, but look
Right.
at it and say, do the colors do they at least you think they look good there? Then look at it in your on your roof and kind of get an idea. But it's about taking the time to really look, and most people don't have any reason to really look that closely most of the time, like you or I might, to
Yeah.
say exactly what is this. But I think that's one of the most helpful things they can do is take the time to look at those elements, to figure out what colors they are. People often ask me, how can you tell people what the colors are from a photo? Well, one, I've been doing it a long time, and two, because we talked a little bit about regional colors, stones and bricks don't go that far from where they're manufactured
Yeah.
oftentimes or where they're found.
Correct.
So in a particular area, and once you work with homes in a particular area, you'll start to see the similarities in a lot of the tone of the materials. And so I can give them some clues to look for, and then they can confirm it by taking the time to really look at them a little bit more a little more closely.
Yeah. Goodness. I had no idea there were that many colors of brick or stone.
That's right. I know. Most people don't. They're like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Oh no, there's 7 undertones of bricks and 5 main undertones of stone, and or not
Yeah.
undertones, but colors of brick and stone." So if you look for those color casts first, the guide that I wrote, the e-guide that I wrote about choosing colors for homes with brick and stone, that I guess I should mention is available to anybody listening free on the Da Vinci Roofscapes website, along with some other guides I've written. Just go to the color section where all our juicy information about color is. But I talk specifically about the different color cast of stone, the different color cast of bricks, being able to identify which your home is, and then giving a lot of tips on combinations that work really well to get someone started. They don't have to go with what I've come up with, although I hope you think they're pretty awesome. But it's a great way to get inspired to start thinking about what you like and finding similar colors. If I have a green and you say, "No, I want blue," well, just find something in a similar, uh, like if it's a muted blue, look for a muted green. Look for if it's a blue with gray, which often homes are, find a green with gray, or look
Yeah.
for just a plain gray or whatever you like. But it's a good place to get started thinking about what kind of colors might work when I'm choosing for my home. So I've tried to take my knowledge and put it out there in a way that's very easy for people to understand, explain to them how I think about the process and walk through it so that they can do the same. And of course, if they're considering a Da Vinci roof, we have the service where they can ask me a question or send me the picture, and I will be happy to give them my thoughts on color once, twice, as often as they need it until they feel comfortable making their final decision on the Da Vinci product they want. I often start with giving them couple of few colors and slate and shake both because they don't know which product they feel most drawn to,
Yeah.
and working sometimes with a customer over 2 or 3, times of interaction as they go through the decision-making process. But it's one of the things I most love about working with them, not just writing, all this information, writing these e-guides and giving them other, advice, but it's customers that just write back and tell you how much they love their roof. And, oh no, I can't help it. I get teary eyed when I start talking about this. I know I've been on here before. I think I probably teared up. People say the nicest things and they're
Yeah.
so excited. And the fact that they've owned the decision with my guidance, they feel so good. And there was a cottage I was just looking, not a cottage, just a Tudor home that, we had helped a woman with, and, oh, it had a cute name. Oh, Primrose Place. It was so cute, and she was so really wanted something that was gonna look great, and once her roof was installed, she said not only does she absolutely love it, and it kept with the integrity of her home, but that her neighbors are telling her how much they love it,
Oh,
and they can't believe it's not real slate. So she
wow.
would I'm just like, "Oh my gosh, how awesome is that?" Because 'Cause I'd worked very closely with, had some, I think 2 or 3 interactions with her,
Yeah.
and it just makes me so happy that people are so thrilled, because I know from my own home how satisfying it is to do a project and or remodel and see how great how great something looks. You just feel so good about it, and
Yeah.
even better when you've made the decision yourself.
Right. Right. Absolutely. You mentioned you have written multiple ebooks that are
Yes.
free and available to anyone. Find them on DaVinci, and we have them on AskARoofer as well.
Yes.
DaVinci has a ton of just different project profiles and color blogs as well. I mean, I always love looking at them because they're just pretty and fun to think about. And
Thank you. Yeah.
yeah,
It is
yeah,
great. There are, and I've done some articles for Ask a Roofer. So they
yes,
don't even have to get to they can find the articles there. We've done
I
some previous
know.
podcasts. So,
I know you're a regular on our podcast. We love it when you're on. So you've
well,
done, I think this is your third one now.
I think third or maybe more, I don't know,
Third or fourth, yeah.
over the time, but
Yeah,
I always enjoy talking about roofs, and I laugh at myself because I'm like, "Gosh, whoever thought I would get this excited about roofs?" But
right.
after work after talking about it for 15 years, I'm still excited about getting the roof right and looking at
Yeah,
the roofs and watching, as I said, the evolution of how composite roofs have gone from being, really functional and a big advantage as far as upkeep and everything to just being a beautiful design element. And so it continues to be fun to work with customers on having a great product that they don't have to think a lot about maintenance, and yet the beauty of what they love about those natural materials.
right. I mean, we covered a lot. Any other advice for homeowners that you can think of that we have not touched on yet?
Well, I think the thing is to take first of all, take your time, think about what you like by looking around at other homes in your area,
Yeah,
identifying the types of look you like, take some pictures. I mean, we all have cameras now that we carry most of the time with us in our phone. But start to just really look at things and give it some thought, and don't think about what's my paint color going to be. Start with looking at what's my roof color, or what's it
right.
going to be? What's my stone or brick if you have those things? Do I have colored window frames? Really start to take inventory starting at the top and working your way down, because the more you understand those elements, they all, as I say, your home's telling you what color to paint. You just have to listen. They start to point you to the right color. And so it makes the whole selection of the body color, trim, or anything, the front door, it makes it so much simpler. And
Yeah,
again, you feel confident that okay, now I know exactly what I'm doing and why.
yeah, definitely. Start with the crown. Start at the
Yeah,
top.
exactly.
Well, this has been amazing. I know I'm now going to notice every single brick color and stone color in neighborhoods when I'm driving around, just like I now notice roofs everywhere I go. Um,
And if you're a walker, you'll be like me, critiquing every home silently to yourself about if it's right or could be better.
right. Maybe,
Could I
maybe
make
flip
the
them
could
a
I
note.
could I do is there something I could do that would improve the look of that house? It's what I do when I take my walks around the neighborhood.
Me too. Yep. Well, Kate, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You
Thank
can
you.
find all of her other podcasts, articles, etc. on AskARoofer.com. Da Vinci has a directory on there as well, and other information can be found in our show notes. We look forward, Kate, to the next time we get to talk to you about all things roof color.
I look forward to it too. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. We'll catch you on the next one.
If your roof needs answers, subscribe now to the Ask a Roofer podcast. We've got your questions covered, one episode at a time. Go to AskARoofer.com to submit your questions and learn more. Stay tuned and keep those questions coming.